All right, I did it private to start. Maybe that's what I need to start doing. I should start doing on private. So that way, in the whole beginning, I don't have to be like, hey guys, we're live. Just give me a second while I put these tags in.
How do I see myself? I can't see myself.
All right. Okay. Oh, look. So yeah, right now I'm doing it right now. The video's going, but I'm going to put the tags in now before I make it go public.
Thank you for holding this space. Thank you for holding this space. Look at you being all structural and administrative.
I almost can't believe it. It's so
I love to witness it. The Virgo in me honors the Virgo in you.
It's so crazy because it's so far from how I knew myself at a point in my life.
Look at that.
I know it's bonkers. All right, so we're gonna set this for, we're gonna say 11. I'm gonna say 11. Fuck it, 11. Oh, guess I need that thumbnail. Fuck it.
I legit changed my pants and just put a scarf on my bottom.
Bang, first tag going down for the rest.
So we're still not live, right?
It's live, but I put the video on private so that nobody can see it, right?
I can still get up and like.
Yeah.
Okay, can I get my water? Okay. Fuck around and I might just dance, do a whole dance party.
Head up.
Can you hear my music?
No, don't play music.
Don't play?
If you do, if you could put it in your headphones, only because YouTube's gonna tag it and the video is gonna be obsolete. So let's say this is the one that hit 1 million views, YouTube's gonna be like, copyright.
Oh, so we can't even use music?
No, absolutely not.
So how am I supposed to dance?
Like I said, if you want to put headphones in, and if not that, acapella.
Yeah, that's the other thing I was thinking about. I haven't.
If it was just a Zoom and it wasn't going live on the internet, where they're gonna tag the video, I'm gonna get a copyright claim guaranteed.
See, that's the thing. That yeah. I was thinking about YouTube's not the good platform for me to share my movement videos because of the music.
No, YouTube's a good platform. You can share the movement videos. However, you need to get copyright-free music. So that would be an extra step to figure out if you're going to actually do that. Otherwise, that would be people coming on your back end.
Yeah, we ain't gonna do that. All right, so no dancing. I'm gonna just flirt with you.
All right. I'll take that. Probably leave maybe like with something like breath. All right. All right, I'm pressing done. This thing's going live. I got a feeling that this YouTube might have picked up some of that or whatever in the beginning, but it was on private. So later, let's do this. Bang, I press save. I'm sending you the link on the other side so that you should be able to see.
On my WhatsApp?
You want it to your WhatsApp specifically?
Is the link that people can now join?
Yeah, okay, bang. I'm gonna send it to your WhatsApp. All right, so we're definitely live on YouTube. I gotta check on that link myself too.
This is so interesting. So because it's once we press public, people will see from the public on out?
No, they're watching us right now.
They're watching us now?
Yeah. They're literally
The good thing I didn't like flash you or something. Yeah.
Well, we could talk about it. We're here today talking about women and their play. So is this how women play? They just gonna throw a couple titties out there?
Listen, I just got waxed this morning and there's something about that feeling of freshness and cleanliness that just activates a slutty energy. I mean, I'm like, woo, like, let's play. I want to be seen. Like, chase me.
Activation.
So, well, if they've been catching all this, great. Hi, welcome.
Yep. Okay, wait. Oh no, I think it's going live for 11/11. I think it might not actually. Let me see what's happening. I gotta go to my own link real quick. I see Samir. I see Ellie. No, he can see you. We here.
We here?
We on. So I had this. I had the photo that we put up there of how women play. Everybody that comes on here, throw them likes up. Appreciate you tremendously. Throw them thumbs up. I got the SoulMami here today. All right. Some of you might know her. I see somebody already threw a name in the chat. So somebody got the lowdown. Somebody got
Samir. Hi, Samir.
That said, I'm gonna go ahead and put my light on. Okay, boom. Let there be a light.
Looking fresh.
Let there be a light. Today we're talking about divine feminine, divine masculine. These have been topics that have really been explored, not just by myself more recently, but for the SoulMami here. I met her back in Thailand, in Chiang Mai, Thailand. And what's so beautiful is she's one of the first people, this is about 3 years or so ago, that I remember actually talking about divine feminine. And I don't think prior to that, I've ever actually heard that from anybody, Ellie. So, SoulMami, real quick, tell us, because you're somebody who definitely, especially as a Virgo, right? We got a lot of astrology people on this channel. She's a Virgo on 10th house. So 10th house being the public image, and like Virgo being,
it's my son, baby.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like Virgo is that earthly presence. It's that goddess walking on earth. Literally, it's a sign of purity. And it's a sign of class and sophistication, right? So like women who are Virgos, I'll say men as well, but for this example, women who are Virgos are the walking embodiment, in my personal opinion, of a goddess on earth, okay? As an earth sign. So with that said, hearts, you're in the circle. What can you tell us about divine feminine? And then we're gonna take them into a little bit of breath work. So just like give us a little snippet, and we're gonna take them into some breath work. What is divine feminine? Why would somebody want to be a part of that? And then we'll get into it. So what is it? What's your interpretation of divine feminine?
Thank you for that lovely introduction. I think it was worth noting to let everyone know that we met via Tinder, went on an awesome date, discovered we were reading the same book, which I think was The Power of Now.
We met on Tinder? We met on Tinder?
We met on Tinder.
Yo, we met on Tinder.
We met on Tinder. We met at the juice bar at the Old City, and we were reading the same book, The Power of Now.
You're right.
And then we chilled in this Thai bar, chilling.
I remember.
All night, pretty much.
I remember. You're so right. Well, for anybody out there, we didn't have the Tinder happy ending. That never went down. Just so I can't believe we went on Tinder, yo.
We went on a date and then we hung out a few times and it was just cool, dope vibes. Like, all right, this is a connection for
wow, that's super amazing. You're so right.
So
it just blew my mind.
Mm-hmm. So talk about playing, right? Because when I was in Thailand, I was very activating my divine feminine. My masculine was kind of wounded. That's why I went to Asia to heal. I was kind of tired of responsibility and holding space and doing. And I'm like, I'm gonna just go play. I'm gonna just go to the festivals and dance and play. And Thailand was a big part of that. And Tinder was a big part of that because I was getting over a breakup. We could talk another time. And so I'm like, I'm gonna go on Tinder because I want to go on dates. And I want to be seen by the masculine. Something about just being seen by the masculine that weakens the feminine. So it's amazing that now here we are 3-4 years later having this topic about divine feminine. But what is divine feminine? Divine feminine is the essence that lives in all of us, is the ocean, the rough waters, the calmness, right? Is all the elements combined, is our darkness, it's our messy parts, it's the spirit of our soul. The divine feminine is the spirit of our soul, you know, but without the divine masculine, how can the divine feminine be in the soul? How can the divine feminine shine, right? So I think in today's conversation, we're gonna flow between those topics, how the divine masculine and feminine dance and play, and how to activate both energies within us.
Absolutely.
Right before this call, I was sitting here and I was telling Pernell, I was like, oh, I'm so glad. Like, I'm totally in my feminine today. I just like feel messy. I feel like scattered all over the place. And I was in admiration as I just saw you sitting there calmly doing all of this technology thing. And I was like, oh, here we are. We already started the conversation non-verbally.
Look at that. Look at that. So this is lovely. So let me do a couple house shops. For those of you in here, I see 4 people watching. Throw those 4 thumbs up. I appreciate you tremendously for checking with the channel. We're talking today divine feminine. We're talking today divine masculine. What a messy feminine energy looks like and why messy isn't a bad thing. Why messy is what you want. Why messy is what brings life and soul, like the SoulMami just said, into the divine masculine. So before we go any further, what I want to say is I dropped in the chat the SoulMamis. I seen a vote just pull up. Somebody say, yes, I'm fully in. You can vote, whether you're watching this on replay or live with us, about are you in your divine masculine and your divine feminine? And you're able to vote. I see 1 yes came up. That said, housekeeping. Check out her channel, the SoulMami. It's in the chat. All right. You'll see her YouTube channel. She's really starting to restart back up. I know Ellie was in the public light. She was in the public limelight way before everything technology was cool. So watch the revamp. Lily, what's going on? I see you for another chat, which is dope. That's super awesome. She was on the last masculine positive energy. So you're gonna love this today because now I got a guest in that's she's gonna light it up. Like this is what we do.
Hey Lily.
You know what I'm saying? In the chat, I also dropped a spiritual advisory kit. Okay, all things astrology is gonna teach you how to look up your own signs. All things numerology, chakras, dream interpretations. That stuff's there. It's a part of my email list. We have tremendous gratitude that I'm sending out to anybody that want to sign up for the email list. You'll understand all my I'm gonna call them off-grid events. All the off-grid events that we're doing, which is like, look, I think it's important to have community off any platform and onto your own. So the email list for me is that. The last 2 housekeeping things before we dive into this is, if you're looking for one-on-one mentorship, all right, if you're looking for spiritual mentorship, there's an application. If you're looking at some of the retreats we got coming up, you can also go ahead and you can click that link, and it'll send you to an application. And that application will just let you know and let me know if you really are a good fit for me and if I'm really a good fit for you, because this is a beautiful energetic exchange. When I work with people one-on-one, I take it very serious. And so any questions, feel free, ask that in the chat. We'll address it. And the last housekeeping before we dive right into how women play with the divine feminine energy along well with divine masculine is one of my 2 events that we run. I see SoulMami in the chat. Twice a month on the new moon, on the full moon, we run workshops. If you missed the last vision board mind map workshop this past weekend, that is your loss. We only took 8 people for that. All of my workshops are donation based. I like to leave it there. But with that said, the next one's coming up for the Gemini full moon on the 18th of December. And Gemini, with this moon, I'm looking to do some brainstorming. What's up, Missy Lee? How you living? I see the Aquarius, Aries, Cancer gang. Love it. Ellie's on here, 10th house Virgo and her son. So she is the public divine figure for the day.
Don't forget we're splashed with some Taurus and Sag.
little Taurus and Sag, a little grounded fire. Absolutely. So I'll make those mentions here and there. So let's dive back in now. We're talking divine feminine. We're talking divine masculine. All right. We're live with the SoulMami here. We're going to talk a little bit about how twin flames has their place in the space of how we either reject or attract these divine parts within ourselves. Okay. So a lot of times, for simplicity, when you see twin flames in that dynamic, what's happening is they're more likely revealing the wounded feminine within you. They're more likely identifying the wounded masculine within you. And that's a lot of where these twin flames or these karmic soulmates and these relationships, they pull up on us, because there's something about ourselves that we didn't see. There's something about ourselves that we probably did see, but maybe we ignored. And you'll get a lot of these soulmates that'll pull up, which doesn't have to be romantic, right? Like the SoulMami for me is a soulmate. It's been a soulmate. Like she said in the beginning, we met on Tinder, and who knew in Thailand a Tinder date would turn into us having the same book and 4 years later doing lives on YouTube. That's just miraculous. So I say that to say what I had talked on with the other day on the Positive Masculinity video. Don't look at everybody as a piece of meat. All right. Like not every single male you meet is a piece of meat. Not every single female you meet is a piece of meat. And I'm so happy that, you know, Ellie and I were able to honor in our own ways. Over 4 years or 3 years or so that I've known her, that we were able to honor that, you know, she's a queen. This is one of the first, I never think I told you this in the beginning, but I remember thinking in my head, I was like, oh, she's a queen. And in that stage of my life, I was like, I'm a fuck boy. So it's like, no, that's what it was. 3 years ago, I was in this heartbroken state, and I was like, look, like, honestly, I'm not necessarily looking for any one thing, but I also know that I'm not ready for a queen. And that's just what it was. So that's one of the reasons why I never engaged you, right? That's literally one of the, it wasn't because you weren't beautiful. It wasn't because of all this other blah, blah, blah. It's because I was like, yeah, she's a queen. I'm just not gonna go that way because I'm not ready for that. It was the truth. I was not ready for that, period. And I think what's important about this is to honor that when we have these soulmates that we meet, not all of them are a piece of meat. Not all of them are the next person on your hit list. All right. Ellie, you got some people in the chats asking you about your rising placements. And then we're going to dive into this epic fucking discussion about divine feminine, divine masculine.
I don't think they're ready. I don't know if they're ready. What? If you're ready, I want to see some emojis. I want to see some like fire, like, psh, psh, like my divine feminine needs like, you know, it needs some activation here. Just, oh, come on. I want to see it. Let's see. Samir, you're asking a question.
And some thumbs up. And some thumbs
up.
Helps
you, Samir. I'm a Virgo sun, technically Virgo Libra. I'm right at the last day of Virgo. So I'm a Virgo sun, a Taurus moon, and a Sag rising. So I'm like a grounded, sensual fire.
So but you're 29 degrees Virgo.
Yeah.
Which makes you famous, whether you realize it or not. I see the energy pumping today. This is awesome.
Ooh, I'm seeing some. Okay.
So feel free, anybody in here as well, ask questions that you have around divine feminine, that you have around divine masculine. Ask questions because we're here to clarify some things. Because one of the things we were talking about earlier before we got on this live was how important it is to stop punishing people for what they didn't know. Ooh, I'm gonna say it again. One of the things that we discovered prior is that we need to, in relationships especially, I'm talking romantic love right now in this moment, we need to stop punishing partners, whether they're past partners, current partners. We need to stop punishing them for the parts that they didn't know, okay? And Ellie, you want to elaborate on what that might mean?
Yeah, but before we get there, let's rewind to, what does it mean to punish? Like like, where is that even coming from? Where is that coming from? I think it would be good to lay a foundation of how we define divine masculine, divine feminine, because some people might be thinking gender. Some people might be thinking, am I in divine feminine if I'm a man? Like, so I think maybe setting a foundation of just like the basic terminology, and then diving deep into what you just said, like having more grace and not punishing people when they're operating from their, wounded masculine, aka fuckboy status, or wounded feminine, aka like in her masculine. Like there's so many dynamics. So I can start and you can add whatever you see necessary. So my definition, again, don't believe anything I say, go research it yourself, go live it, go experience it, and then you become the wise one for yourself. From my experience, we all carry divine feminine, divine masculine energy, regardless of your gender, how you identify. Think about it in energy terms, right? We all carry both of these energies. Is like the sun and the moon, right? The sun is the yang, is the heat, it gives, it penetrates. The moon is the feminine, is the yin, it receives, it relaxes, right? It flows. All of us have both energies. Now, when we're born, we're perfect in these energies. These energies are in perfect sacred harmony, right? They're dancing. When we're little, when you look at kids and when they play, they're so natural at playing. You don't say, oh, that's a masculine thing to do, or that's a feminine thing. You see kids going from crazy, chaotic, dancing, and then you see them being helpers and doers, right? You see both energies in sacred union. But as we grow up and we get conditioned in the world and society, and we start to experience pain and traumas, and we have family wounds and all the shits that come with the human experience.
Right.
Those energies now start getting twisted, right? Like we can get a divine, we can get a wound, we become maybe wounded in our masculine. Yeah. I had a wounded masculine for a long time. I grew up being more connected to my masculine. I was the eldest. I was the firstborn. My father wasn't in the picture. So being an immigrant in this country forced me to almost hold the space of my father, like, right? Be the emotional support for my mom, do all the things in the house. So I learned and conditioned myself to be in my masculine. So my divine feminine was like suffocating, like, yo, like bring me out. I want to play. And my divine masculine was a bit toxic because, I'm in this country and I'm just like, oh, I gotta alpha mode, I gotta constantly be doing no rest, rest is for the weak. Like, it's just like
the weak and the wicked.
So we all have dynamics. For me, it was that. Other people might grow up with a wounded feminine. And so there's an imbalance, right? So part of this work of knowing about divine feminine and masculine is for us to go back into harmony, into that beautiful dance between the masculine and the feminine. So it starts with awareness and recognizing, where are my energies in regards to that? Now imagine you're an adult, you're unaware that you have divine masculine and feminine energy. You have a wounded masculine because dad was never in the picture, mom was never in the picture, you were abused, or, whatever the case was. And now you're trying to be in relationship with another human who also has this masculine, feminine energy within that's probably not in harmony, has a whole different dynamic.
It usually
and I think this is where your question comes in. We need to have more compassion in forgiving people for not knowing what they don't know, right? Like, back in the day, you said you didn't pursue me. You had the recognition. She's a queen. You had the awareness. I'm on fuckboy mode. I'm not even going to address her. But let's say that wasn't our story. And let's say you ignored your awareness and you would have come at me, seduced me, and I would have fallen and we would have gotten messy, you know,
right.
And then there would have been heartache and pain. And then a great friendship turned into like bitterness and anger and like, fuck this dude, like, And here we are 4 years later. And maybe I'm still holding on the grudges.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Of what this connection was. And I think this is where the question was like, wow, have compassion that maybe Pernell back in the day didn't know that he was in his wounded masculine and acted that way from his wounded masculine. So I hope that makes sense. Is that making sense so far before we dive in? Is everyone vibing with us? Is that, you know?
Yeah, you got Samir accent, and I thank you for sharing that lovely, I don't even know what's called epilogue, so forgive me on the language right now. But Samir asked, how did the divine masculine and divine how do the divine masculine and divine feminine come to play in life?
And yeah, and I think that's where we're headed to.
Yeah, that's what we got in the we have these little bullet points kind of written out, if you will. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to look and we're going to define really, and I'm going to drop these all in the chat. We're going to define 3 positive divine masculine traits, 3 positive divine feminine traits. And then we're also going to do 3 divine feminine toxic traits, okay, and toxic masculine traits. So one of the things that I find important about this is to know what the positive looks like, know what the negative looks like as examples, and then that helps us bring like a conscious awareness to what's going on. So we're going to start with what I have here on the first list. We're going to start with positive masculine traits. Ask any questions along the way. Remember that we're not here to lecture you. Okay, we're here to be interactive with you. This is why I enjoy live versus just making a video about this, because I'm here, the SoulMami's here to interact with you. And let's not forget that. So the first question we have is, well, the first trait, if you will, the first positive trait of masculine energy is decisive and firm, but not aggressive, okay? Not necessarily competitive, especially with the partner, okay? Especially with their counterpart. And basically not seeking validation. So one that can be firm, can be decisive, but that doesn't mean you have to be aggressive. That doesn't mean you have to be like grinding the gears. They're on that 9-to-5 grind. That's not what that means. It doesn't mean they have to compete with their lover. Okay. That's a sign of, I'm gonna stretch on this. I'm gonna say that's a sign of weakness in this moment. It could be a stretch. It could offend somebody, but I'm gonna say that's a sign of weakness when you feel like you have to compete with your woman. And also, finally, seeking validation is something that they don't need to do. So in this positive form, like they don't seek validation. They validate themselves and they consider themselves validation, like a healthy divine masculine. Understanding again, like Ellie said, she was operating at a point in her life through divine masculine energy, right? Where she needed to, or I'm gonna say masculine energy, because in the beginning, she was discussing like, okay, look, she came here off the boat as an immigrant and she had to force her way into masculine energy because structure and discipline was needed to make firm decisions, which then had a part acting from the womb, right? But when we're not from the womb, we're not acting from the womb, that we're not seeking validation in the divine masculine. So Ellie, just on this first point from a positive trait, anything you want to elaborate on?
No, I think that's good. Keep going. I think that just to Samir, we're going to get to your question. I think it's important to, now that we have a foundation of, you know, what is divine masculine, what is divine feminine, how it lives in all of us. I think once we understand how it manifests positively or healthy and how it manifests negatively or wounded, will then help us get into the door of, now let's play with these energies. So I don't want to add anything to that. Keep flowing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Let's do that. So let's do this real quick. Let's give a little, like this energetically we felt. Can we give Kiki a little clap real quick? Because right here, I see that Kiki honored the divine masculine, okay, set a goal, accomplished it yesterday, and she's feeling great. He's feeling great. I'm sorry, I don't actually know if Kiki is a woman or a male. Forgive me. I'm trying to see. I can't see a picture or anything. I know Kiki's as males and females, so I'm not gonna try to pin it, but forgive me on that. But definitely, I hope you felt that clap somewhere energetically, just through the waves. You know, it's powerful when you can get multiple people clapping from different countries, mind you. So congratulations on that. And thank you for joining me with that clap, y'all. So here we go. Number 2 is a positive trait. I see claps in the emojis. I forgot we can do that. Hell yeah, Lily. I rock with you. So the second one we have for a positive masculine trait, just to identify it so we can understand how to play, right? Identifying the masculine, identifying the feminine. A positive divine masculine trait here is learning how to be, and not even just learning, but actually being open, being receptive, okay? I always see masculine energy and it's positive as, okay, I see Kiki, do you love me? But being able to be a container. SoulMami was talking a little bit earlier about being able to be messy and the feminine being a soul, and that soul kind of needing a container, okay? So masculine energy in its positive form is a container for that soul that the SoulMami was talking about a little bit earlier. And it's able to, as a container, to maintain the structure, to be disciplined, to maintain an objective mind, okay? When you have the masculine trying to get too much into his feelings while the feminine is really erupting and exploding and being messy in the feminine feelings as well, what you get is, what do you get, Ellie? What do you get when the masculine and the feminine are trying to be emotional, let's say overly emotional even at the same time? What do you, you just get like, you ever seen a little kid just scribbling with 5 color crayons and they're just like, you just see this big mess and it looks like yarn ball all over.
There's nothing
like,
to hold it. It's like crayons with no paper to land on.
You see what I'm saying? There's no borders. It's like, you ever see somebody drawing outside the lines and then you get annoyed, you get that anal part of you is like, can you draw inside the lines? And that's what happens. It's no longer a masterpiece. It's just messy. And if you were at my talk yesterday or a couple of days ago about the positive masculine image, one of the things that came up was order, which is masculine, chaos, which is feminine. Order plus chaos equals magic. Okay. And magic was broke back down to a manifestation, which could be something as simple as a thought that you brought to life, right? But it required order. It required the chaos. Without the chaos and you just have order, first off, you're living a very mundane, boring existence and there's no life. Literally, there's no soul. It's lifeless. It's what you see. And I don't want to offend anybody tremendously, keyword.
There's that Aries energy. Like, I'm gonna do this.
I'm gonna do it. Just gonna give you a heads up. I'm about to headbutt, mother.
So annoying sometimes.
This is that 9 to 5 cube, right? Like if you're working in the cube and y'all all next to each other and you're lifelessly bringing somebody's dreams together and you're completely rejecting and failing to recognize your own dreams, to recognize your own passions, that's what I see when you just have order. So a lot of us are soulless, okay? We've denied the importance of feminine energy completely. And on the opposite, we already discussed. If it's just feminine, you know what you get. We already discussed that. So that's the second when it comes to the positive. And I'm going to type in the third. Any questions, feel free. Ellie, if you want to elaborate on that point, hit me.
Yeah, no. No. I'm just letting you flow, like going through it. Like, yeah.
Boom. I take it. And after we get through this, we're going to do a quick breath work exercise after this third one, because it's the third point and the final for the positive traits of masculine. Do a quick breath exercise. I want you guys to join me on the other side with Ellie, and let's see what happens. So we kind of just explained this, okay? A positive divine masculine trait is to be able to translate the chaos into assuring action, okay? That makes the perfect storm. When you can take that soul energy, that life force that is now being contained with the masculine, they work in tandem, hand in hand. What you get is assurance. You get action. You now know what to do with that life. You know what I'm saying? You know what to do with the passion. Because, you know, I'm an Aries sun, an Aries moon, and Aries Mercury. Where I had to really heal my wounded masculine was to realize that Aries is one of the most passionate signs. And I love that. I fucking love it. However, it's also the boss, I think, in tarot. It's also, it has the ability, not the natural inclination at the beginning. It has to learn, has the ability to be one of the strongest masculine signs in the zodiac. Now, that does not mean that I was evolved enough to take that passion, to take that creativity and structure it like all masculine signs are able to do. And what was happening was I was creating things, but it was all over the place. And right now I have all these babies all in the world. I'm not talking about physical babies. I'm talking about creative babies all over the world. And I don't necessarily know where they are. I'm being honest. Like, I have different projects that I've created on hard drives that I don't know where they're at. I don't know what they're titled. I can't find it right now if I was looking for it. And I don't even know what I did. So sometimes I come across old files of creative projects, things I was so passionate about. But my masculine was wounded and all that structure was absent. And so what did that get? That turned into basically me operating continuously from the wounded masculine, which is not where we want to be, and not how you play with the divine feminine. Because no divine feminine counterpart wants to play with something that can't contain her. All right. Ellie, what do you have about that? What do you feel?
Yeah, that's super important. So in layman's term, it's the divine masculine is the cup and the divine feminine is the water that's being held by the cup. That's just like on the for those that stick with metaphors or pictorial. But yeah, I think you nailed it. So back to Samir's question, I think one of his question was, how do you get to know the divine masculine and feminine within you, right? Because before you play with someone else, you have to learn how to play with yourself. Right. In all the senses. And one of the ways you get to know, you know, is the energy in me right now on the positive, healthy, or wounded, is by self-intimacy, is by spending time with yourself, is by getting to know yourself, is by looking at these characteristics and saying, wow, this part of me, I've been very indecisive lately. I've been very lazy. I haven't been desiring to take action. All right, there's something there with your masculine. You know, are you wounded? Are you burnt out? Have you been too stressed out or too under pressure to take action? So the journey starts with self-awareness and putting your eyes inward and looking at your own energy and begin to observe, how do you show up in relationships when you connect with someone else? Relationships, whether it's platonic or romantic, are the number one, in my opinion, the easiest number one way to know if your divine masculine and feminine is wounded in any way. Things that trigger you, they're a gift. The trigger sucks ass. But
it's the math.
When something triggers you, when someone says something and a part of you goes, is bothered, is sad, or something comes up, take that as a lesson and be like, wait, what is this? Ooh, this is really bothering or offending the part of me that just wants to play, divine feminine. This is really frustrating the part of me that wants to give, that wants to do, that wants to be responsible, divine masculine. For example, I'll share a trigger with you. Sometimes my mom, this is something that she says, she's so annoying sometimes, but I love her. She's a Pisces sun. I don't know what her other placements are because I don't have her chart, but I'm pretty sure she has some Aries in there and then some other elements. Sometimes one of the things that she says that really triggers and hurts my divine masculine energy, she says like, oh, what do you know about responsibility? And when she says that, it's like a smack in the face. Like, what do you mean? What do I know about responsibility? I love being responsible. I love holding. I love taking care of things. I love being a leader, right? I love doing the things, doing, which is the masculine. So that's for me a trigger that when she used to say it to me, it was an indication of like, whoa, that hurt the divine masculine part of me when she said that, right? So I hope that answers your question, Samir. And I think, yeah, everything that you said about the positive is important to take a minute and say, are these characteristics in me? Whether you, again, this has nothing to do with gender, whether you identify with men or women, we both have these energies inside of us.
Right.
Can you take a pause and say, are these positive traits within me? If they are, okay, my masculine energy, you know, is on more on the healthy side. Because again, there's different components.
I see Kiki said our triggers are our best allies. I appreciate you guys on that as well. Any questions? Great time to ask. We're going to do a quick little breath exercise. I want to give you, this is a good one to actually get the masculine and the feminine energy to work in unison. This exercise I'm about to teach you right now is exactly for that, to help you get that in. Before I do, there's two things I want to show you real quick. All right. One, I've recently taken on 2 different affiliates. Okay. And if you're interested in potentially making some money, like literally I've been officially starting to pay people, which has been dope. And it's been people that has been just expanding the fact that you can get therapy sessions with me. And I'm basing all of this AstroTherapy, right? So it's like, I'm using astrology, dive into your own chart. They're about an hour and a half. And what's nice is when you refer people, you have the chance each time to make $53. So 53 US dollars. Who knows when you watch this video on replay or not, 2 years later, that might not be true. But at least for right now, whatever date this is in the world, people have been becoming step by step, brick by brick affiliates, and it's been working really well for the both of us. So I wanted to kind of throw it out there if you're interested. And there are obviously different benefits. So I'm kind of really starting for the first time. This is part of my masculine doing the structural things, right? Like I was saying before. And we're going to get into this breathwork exercise. Before I do, I want to make one more mention about December 18th. Okay. We're going to be doing a brainstorm. A lot of this is going to help us to combine that divine feminine, combine that divine masculine, because the Gemini full moon, Gemini is the twins, right? It's one of the prime examples of the mirror image of the divine feminine and masculine playing with each other. They play. Gemini is like, it plays, right? So this brainstorm session is going to help us with our own ways to bring our ideas together, because Gemini has ideas all over the place. Okay. They're like one here, one here, one here, one here. But one of the things that people forget is that it's a mutable sign, and all mutable signs has the ability to solve problems and to finish. Okay. So Gemini is a masculine sign, even though it has those twins within it. It's a finisher. Okay. It brings things together. And right now, what you're going to notice is in your own world, you have all these concepts, these ideas, you have these conversations that you had, one over here, one here, one here, one here, one here. But now it's time to kind of like bring it together into one spider web. So this is going to be a donation-based workshop. December 18th. Just want to throw this out there. The links are in the description. I'll drop it in the chat after this. And then we're going to move into this breathwork exercise. So I wanted to kind of briefly mention that and show you guys what's up here. So Samir, we'll answer your question in 1 second. I got you. And mind you, this whole live, we only did 1/4 out of the 4 parts we're going to show you so far. So all of it's going to come together. Just give it a little time. All right, so here we go. This breathwork exercise, I want to have you take your thumb, okay? And I want you to put it on your right nostril. Now, I want you to take these 2 middle fingers, or your middle finger and your index, and put it on your third eye. And now this is going to be your inhale. So I want to have you inhale for 7 seconds on my count. Breathe in up through the left nostril. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I want you to close that with your ring finger. Switch over, open your thumb, and I want you to exhale now for 7, 6, slow it down, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good. And inhale through the same nostril. 5, 4, 3, breathe up slow. 2, silently. 1, switch over. And exhale, breathe out. 5, 4, slow it down, 3, 2, 1. Relax your shoulders. Notice the subtle differences in your body. We're going to take one more 5-second inhale going up through the same sequence. Breathe up slow. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Close the nostril. Switch it over. And exhale slowly for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Notice the subtle differences. As you inhale one final time for 7 seconds, slow it down. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. As we switch over, open that finger and exhale for your last 7 seconds. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Awesome, 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 awesome. Feel free in the chat. You may have noticed the tonality of the room, the entire energy just shifted drastically. You should feel that internally as well. Potentially a sense of calm. Whatever you feel, I want to have you just type that in the chat for me. And you might be surprised. I'm gonna type it as well. SoulMami, you mind typing it as well? What are you feeling right now? And feel free to take a second. You don't have to rush this. Bam, simple, clear. Feels much better, grounded, clear. For me, I feel a sense of calm, cool, connectedness. Boom. I thank you for typing that in, for even trying that out. You know, you just try something maybe new, maybe you've done it before. Whatever that is, I thank you for trying it. Calm, boom. Wow, that was awesome. So what we just did is we connected our left brain and our right brain. Okay. Forgive me, I forget what side is what. One's masculine, one's feminine. Did anybody know which brain which one's more creative? The right brain is the creative one, right? And then the left brain is the structure. So left brain is going to be masculine and right brain is going to be feminine. So
right. So even our brain has masculine, feminine.
Even our brain has masculine.
It's the duality, right? So to even question, do you have a feminine, masculine energy? It's yes, we all have masculine, feminine energy. It's divine because our soul is divine. So that's not even a question. Now, what's your relationship with both? Is it wounded? Is it a healthy one? Are you in sacred union? That's where this work and this conversation comes in. So Pernell, before the breath work, read to us and spoke to us about what does it look like to be in healthy masculine energy, right? And now I think it'd be good to talk about what does it look like to look in wounded masculine energy before we get into the feminine.
I agree. I'm glad you said that. And here we go. I'm going to type, bam, that response. And Samir, I did see your question. I'm not ignoring it at all. I think that as we keep rolling and you see now some of the wounded forms with the positive we gave, it's going to start to paint a more clear picture. So, bam. So now we're going to talk about the wounded divine masculine, which is probably great after we connected the whole feminine and masculine parts of our brains. And one of the first things I got, you guys hear the subtle changes in my voice. I'm so zenned out in this moment. And I couldn't even breathe with you, right? Like I couldn't speak out loud and do my inhale, exhale while you were doing it. So that's how powerful that is. Where right now there's 8 of us on here, where I felt your energy more than I was able to gain that actual physiological benefit. Like, you know, I was able to, I'm feeling so zen right now because of the metaphysical benefit, not even the physiological, because I didn't get to breathe the way while speaking those things and guiding you through it. So that thing, I just wanted to clarify how powerful that is. So one wounded trait of the divine masculine, being overly aggressive being power hungry, and just absolutely not caring for others. Ellie, do you want to speak on this one?
No, I think you should. I mean, oof.
I shall. What this looks like to me is this could be a stretch for potentially capitalism. Okay. Yeah. For like a one word, capitalism. It's like for one word, like pharmaceuticals. Okay. It's like, how far are we willing to go to put people's health and their entire existence not only at risk, but on dependence, right? How quickly can we be super judgmental of people on welfare, okay, of people on government assistance, but then not be willing to look at how equally the same that power hungry, let's say, industry has aggressively over assured us as well that this is the only way, that we need to be dependent, and we don't care about what their actual needs are, because we're intentionally going against what they actually need. We don't care, but it is really good with our pockets. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like you taking medicine daily is really healthy for my pockets. So I don't really care of what the back end, I don't care about the expired pills that I'm now shipping over to, let's say, African countries, or let's say poor countries who can't buy the medicine at their full price. So now I'm giving them expired medicine, and they're getting new forms of disease that is just absolute. I don't care about the new forms of disease that are coming from the expired medicine. I made a profit by not wasting my product. Okay, so this is what one wounded masculine looks like. And I think right now the world has a very big fucking wounded masculine collectively. And I include myself in this. You know, there are stages, there are places in my life where like I was power hungry. There are stages in my life where especially I would say, like, I don't know, when I was like 23 or something, like I was wounded. I was so angry, you know, I was just so angry. And what that looked like was when I started working for this business, it was my first job in sales, right? And it was just like, I was trained to be a monster. Literally, I was just trained to try to treat people like numbers rather than my intuitive knowing and who I am, which is like to treat them like people, you know? And with that being said, it's like during this stage, I was power hungry. I saw millionaires all around me and I wanted status. I wanted to be able to move without thinking. I wanted to swipe my card and pay for everybody without thinking. And with that being said, at that stage of my life, I didn't necessarily think about the repercussions. Now, what those were, quite frankly, like I said, I didn't think about them. So now I'm not even aware of what the repercussions may have been. And so when I think of a wounded masculine being overly aggressive, we can take it back to the SoulMami example in Thailand, where it's like, okay, wow, we met on Tinder. If my wounded masculine was being overly aggressive in this moment and just power hungry and just didn't care about her, so maybe I wasn't entirely wounded because I actually did care about you. so maybe I wasn't entirely wounded. And I think to be honest, me going to Thailand was a part of the healing. That was a part of the healing for me. So that makes a lot of sense because I was coming from this wounded masculine where, if anything, 4 years later, talking out loud to you, because I'm just figuring this out for myself right now, live, talking to you live, just being as best I can, vulnerable and transparent. When I think about it now, it's like, this was actually me already in the beginning stages of my healing, which is what happened for me in Thailand, because I did care about the SoulMami's position. And I didn't aggressively pursue her, just treating her like a piece of meat. I didn't. I'm not going to sit there and say that some parts of my mind didn't cross these thoughts. However, this is where I learned that this is where the divine feminine, which we'll get into in a second, can play a role to help us understand how to be nurturing to ourselves. And part of being nurturing to ourselves is not shaming myself for what maybe I almost did, but what actually happened. What was the choice that I actually made? And not to get shame myself and think, oh, I'm a bad person for having these thoughts. It's like, no, you're a human being. And look at the progress. Because there was a stage where I would have just did whatever, whether that's buy all the drinks that night, take us to dinner, whatever it would have been, aggressively pursuing what I thought I wanted and taking with power. You feel me? So this is kind of how this is where it could look like from an example earlier. And then in the middle of the healing part of it, of like when you start to heal, the consciousness that I was able to start bringing to my interactions with other people, let's say women in this moment, to now where I'm able to reflect 4 years later and like, oh crap, like, I was a little bit better than I thought I was, you know? All right, let's see what we got in the comments. And if that makes sense, if SoulMami, you want to elaborate on that, and I'll check the comments as well.
Yeah, no, I think you're right on. So I think collectively, all of our, especially if you live in a privileged country, if you're a Westerner, collectively, even if you grew up in the best households and you had spiritual parents and you did all the work of balancing your masculine, feminine energy, regardless of that, and because of the culture that we live in, all of our masculine is almost like carries some form of wound, because the wounded masculine is the hustle, is being overworked, right? It's the 9 and 5 plus 7 more hours, you know, it's the always resting, always chasing, always doing, always, you know, trying to get that money, which ain't bad, you know, but it's lack of self-care, right? It's like I constantly have to be busy. I can't rest. I can't cry. I can't feel my emotions. You know how I have a soft spot when it comes to the masculine, right? And the divine feminine in me is just like, oh, I just want to hold y'all, because I almost feel for you, and how this, you know, how our cultures raise men, especially to not have spaces where they can just be vulnerable, to not have spaces where they can cry, where they can be in their feminine, powerfully held, you know, because this world is so like, oh yeah, like I gotta get it, you know, it's just this like roughness, like all this earth, all this rock without the softness of water, you know. So that I feel like all of us carry bits and pieces of that wounded masculine. And how do you tell? Look at your life right now. Are you constantly working? Do you make space for rest? Do you make space to connect with your creativity? Are you ashamed of those things? Do you make space to be wild, to be messy, to mess up? Or are you constantly the perfectionist, that overachiever that has to get things done? If you are, then that's a sign that your masculine is imbalanced. I won't even say wounded, but it's imbalanced, and it's a bit more balancing.
That's really dope that you said that, because that may have been, to go back to the Thailand example, even if my masculine wasn't wounded, that just wanted to say, hey, look, I'm going to take, it still was out of balance. You're like I still was in the stages of recalibrating my divine masculine, which is way more empowering to say, look, I'm in a recalibration phase. It's very much.
I'm rebalancing. That's because it. And here's the thing: when you live with the imbalance for too long, a deeper wound can be created. Right? There's the wounds that we get because of where we live. There's the wounds that we get because of the family we grow into. And there's the wounds that we get because of the experiences we have in our relationships and our interpersonal connection, whether that experience brings upon trauma, emotional, spiritual, bodily trauma, whether it brings pain. Those 3 things can cause a wound or can cause an imprint, right? Like a stamp.
Right.
Like a little stamp in our heart, like, like it's salty, it's sour, right?
It's like, what do we fill that back up with?
Right. But then outside of that, how we are living every single day with ourselves, and are we doing the things to balance those energies? That's key. And if we live with an imbalance for too long, if we continually overwork, I can't rest, no days off, I gotta do, I'm not gonna cry, I'm gonna develop a hard heart, over time we can give ourselves wounds, or we can deepen the wounds that are already there if we choose to live with the imbalance. So it's very important for us to know that we may not be in control of what's happening in our environment. We may not be in control of our family dynamic and how we grew up and the things that affected us. We may not be in control of what we experience in relationships and the things that are done to us, but we are in control on how we choose to live every single day with ourselves and the relationship that we have with our soul. And if we are not honoring ourselves, if we are not resting, playing, but also working and doing, and we're not balancing that, we can hurt ourselves as well.
Right. For a brief quick, thank you again. Wow, amazing. And also, I want to do this one more time. I seen Lily in here. And before I say this, throw them thumbs up. I see 9 in here. I should see 9 thumbs. Thank you. Appreciate you. And with that said, Lily was saying, hey, look, yup, you know, she recognized the point. She was in that energy that you were speaking of. And it was about 5 years ago after her divorce, where it took her to actually quit her job to be able to actually come back to her feminine energy. And I've seen this so frequent. And I'm going to say with women specifically, I've seen it so frequent because a lot of my clients are women. It's just what it is. And especially with her being a Pisces. So I just want to say real quick, like, can we just one more time throw that clap on screen? Because it's like, these are the moments where we really got to lift each other up and just take a moment to stop pretending that we all don't, even if we shouldn't be seeking validation, that we don't actually honor and adore some validation. You know what I'm saying? I think this is important because I think it's important, like she said, to realize when we're out of balance. And I think part of what's out of balance is having to think that we have to overly validate or over-validate ourselves, that we struggle to receive when somebody else gives us a compliment or somebody else claps for us. You know, it feels good. Let's just be real. It feels good. I don't care how strong you are. I don't care what stage you're in. It feels good when somebody claps for you. So, you know, I just want to say kudos to you, Lily, because divorce is no joke. I've seen divorce destroy more than just families. Okay. Yeah. So kudos to you because you're now here today and you're able to stand up for yourself and speak about it. Because, you know, when we're still wounded, we're not usually able to talk about it unless we've addressed that wound in some capacity, which means that you've done that. So congratulations.
Yeah. And I also love that Lily said that, you know, this imbalance can manifest as a physical illness. 100%.
Whoa, absolutely. 100%.
100. Why do you think
100%
so many people are sick? It's not just
100%.
because of what they put in their body and what they're consuming through their senses, right? It's also this energetic imbalance, right? They're all maybe overworked or too in the toxic masculine, or maybe they're just like lacking action because they've just been lazy couch potatoes, not doing anything. Meanwhile, the fire in them is burning and wanting to come out, and they're not taking that action. So eventually, with time, this is what I would say, with time, that imbalance can become a deeper issue, whether it's a mental, you know, imbalance, or whether your body physically starts manifesting that imbalance. So this is super, super, super important for us to learn, to heal, and to love, and to connect with both of these energies within us, and to be in a constant state of playing with these energies so that we can be in harmony with ourselves. So I love that you said that, Lily, like straight on.
Kiki, I see you too. Just recently finalized your divorce. So just understand that you have tribe, okay? You have tribe. You have more people that are supporting you, both of you, than we may fully recognize. So just want to throw that out there. And I'm gonna run the next point on one of the negative traits of masculine energy. But definitely like talk about it, ask any questions, share what you want. We're here for it. We're here for it. Absolutely. All right, here we go. So the second one I have here is negative self-talk. This is a sign that the masculine is out of balance, that it needs some recalibration. Negative self-talk, okay? When we start taking actions to just stay busy and we're not actually being productive, okay? This is something to check in with. Ellie, real quick, is your YouTube loading?
No.
Okay, maybe it's just on my side.
Yeah, you're good. You're clear on this end.
Okay, cool. So one of the negative traits of masculine when it's either wounded or is out of balance is, again, negative self-talk. When you're talking down on yourself, okay, when you're telling yourself like, oh my God, I ain't shit, or you're telling yourself, and I'm trying to think of even some lesser examples, because the hard part, the scary part is the covert negative self-talk, okay? And when I say covert, it's like, it's more discreet. It's not, it's when I had to recognize one time that I was bullying myself, but I didn't know that. And so one of the things I learned about Aries moons is general, Aries moons classically have this, they bully themselves because at one point they were bullied, which is why we also stand up against the bullies. So it's a part of our making. But the question had to come to me is like, man, one day one of my friends asked me, who's bullying you? And it's like, she's like, because you would never talk to somebody else like that, and you would never allow somebody else to talk to you like that. So why are you talking about yourself like that? And I didn't even notice about what I had said. And it was something that it was so small, but she was right. And I had said, I was really distraught this day. I was like, oh my God, I feel so stupid that I brought you this bad person, because I felt like I was making connections. And then we found out that connection, at least found out that connection was, let's just for simplicity, that connection was a snake. And it burned my soul that community is tribe. That's so important for me. I do a really good job to maintain integrity for myself and as well the people that I operate with. So when I sat there and I brought somebody else and created a connection, to find out that this person had ulterior motives and malintentions, it really destroyed me. And I was negative self-talking myself that day. So I was out of balance and I was like, oh my God, I'm so stupid. Like, I'm so sorry. But I had no idea that I said, oh my God, I'm so stupid. Literally, I had no idea. And it seemed so small. But this is one of the forms of being out of balance with your masculine energy. Like, because the opposite and a positive trait is to be self-assuring. To be self-assuring. And again, like, recognize the difference between guilt and shame is like, look, you may have made a mistake. You may have did a bad thing, but it doesn't make you a bad person. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So the guilt is like, hey, look, you made a mistake. But we're human and humans make mistakes. It doesn't make you a bad person. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like, you made that one mistake. Whatever it is, it could have been crappy, but it was a mistake. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So one of the things I found, negative self-talk, it doesn't have to always be this crazy, like overt and like extroverted, like negative self-talk that people hear and you hear. A lot of times the scary one is the one when you don't recognize. And this is why we got to have positive influences around us and people who really watch their language and people who's willing to check you on your language. It's very important. And I say that because, that inner critic will knock you the fuck out. It will knock you out silly. And it has, to me. Self-sabotage, I see some of these comments, it has been there. Like, it has happened. Yeah. So when this happens, as a part of that part two, for one of the negative self-traits of like either wounded masculine or just masculine out of its out of balance, is when you're being busy but not productive. And I don't give a fuck who wants to judge or this or not, but if you're a man and you're playing video games, you're out of balance.
All day. It's not wrong with playing video games.
But they do all day.
If like, your life revolves around that, because that's a form of play. But if that's your only life and you're not taking any action in other areas of your life, and almost like this becomes mindless playing, that could become an imbalance.
I'm gonna pull it. I'm not gonna agree with you just because I like who you are. I'm not gonna agree with you just because I like.
You don't gotta agree with
me. And here's why. We don't have the choice of what's gonna happen to us on a hormonal, on a chemical level in our brain once the play is happening. We only have the choice prior. Mm-hmm. So as a part of playing that, we have to accept the addiction that comes with it. And it's like marijuana in a sense. There's no real scientific addiction to marijuana, but everybody know that smokes weed, that there's a psychological dependency, that they don't qualify as an addiction, but everybody knows that it turns into that one, then that two, and then it just you need more and more and more and more and more. And so it's like video games are the marketers, they design it to suck your attention and not let you know what's happening and how much more you require to get that same dopamine effect.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I say it I'm saying this from a sense like for men, because, you know, I think that we're more on the problematic side if it comes to something like games or gambling, then we're balancing it. Like, I'm sure there's some people that can be disciplined. And again, masculine energy, and it's positive, it is discipline. So they can go be disciplined. They can play that 1 hour. They can get done. They could watch that hour of TV kind of as a form of relaxation. They can be done. But that's in my personal opinion, that's not the widespread narrative. I don't know too many people that really is going to play that joint for an hour and be like, all right, I'm done. I'm going to go play with my family.
I'm in that. I'd agree with you. I would just also add that that's just one form of escapism, and there's so many, right? For some women, for a man or for a woman, it could be playing video games. It could be smoking too much weed. It could be watching TV, watching Netflix. That's an addiction, you know? It could be countless things that keep you in this stifled, mindless, unproductive energy, when there's a part in you that wants to be taking mindful steps towards building, creating, holding, doing something, you know? So I think it's important to catch and to be aware of, again, whether you're a man or woman or identify as either, is to see, okay, what are my escape tents?
Right, which is the bigger question.
What am I devoting to them? For a lot of us these days is social media, you know? Like, it's, at this point, most of us are not even in control of that. We can be, but we're not in control of that because these apps are designed to chemically hook us. Like, ooh, like that, just like did something to my chemicals, you know? So is social media, how much time do you spend a day, you know? And this goes back. If you are bothered by it, then saying, wait, I need to balance my energies. Are you then taking actions like, you know, I'm going to delete my app for the weekends and not be on Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays. I'm only be on Mondays through Thursday. You know, I do that. So I do agree with your point. I just, you know, I don't want to come too down on the video game players.
And it ain't just about them. It ain't just about them, because you clarified it. You clarified it tremendously. Yeah. You know, she added that goddess touch. This is why we're learning and we're teaching each other how to play with the divine feminine and the masculine, right? Like, just because we had, let's say, a moment of discord does not mean that it needs to become a competition or something where her and I need to prove which point is about yada, 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 rather than to be open and receptive that, look, there are many takes about this. And so I appreciate, this is why I appreciate a friendship like this that I have with the SoulMami, because it's like, you know, we're able to play. Play doesn't always have to be something physical, right? Like right now, we're not even in the same state, and we're able to play with our words. We're able to play with our discussion. We're able to play with our disagreements. We're able to play with where we can come to an agreement. We're able to play, and I think this is what's really beautiful about that masculine, that feminine energy. Like, it's a dance, baby. It's a dance. You feel me? Like, it's a dance. And so I see the comments exploding. We must have hit something. We must have hit something on the head. Missy, what up? I see you guys. Thank you guys for those thumbs up. Drop those thumbs, baby. Share this with somebody. We have now the opportunity to go to the feminine. So we talked about, did we get all 3 points on the masculine?
Pretty much. Yeah.
Oh no, there was one more. I think this one's important. So to finish that last point, number 2, it was like, just be mindful of what is actually you just being busy to be busy rather than being productive. Thank you guys for those thumbs up. Appreciate it. And here's the third point on the wounded masculine. Here's the third point on a masculine that may be unbalanced. Doesn't have to necessarily be wounded. And a male that fears rejection. Okay. If you have a man that's just fearing rejection so much to the point where they end up becoming almost obsolete because they're just stagnant. They're like, I don't want to move forward. And they let their insecurities to basically devalue the importance of what they know they need to do. This is one of the things about masculine energy being disciplined and being able to focus and being able to be the container. It's like, it requires emotional intelligence. That's the irony. Like, that's almost like it's almost like sometimes when people think like masculine energy doesn't mean it can be emotionally intelligent. And that's very far from the truth. And I think that when masculine energy discards emotional intelligence as something important and it devalues where and how it plays a part, I think that's somebody that's out of balance. I think that's something that's also part wounded. What do you feel, Soul?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I agree. I'm like,
no, and I just wanted to make that point because emotional intelligence doesn't mean that, you know, every day you're crying. And it doesn't mean every day you're complaining. It doesn't mean every day you get to be chaotic like feminine energy or messy. It doesn't mean that. It means that you can understand the emotions of the people around you and still be secure within yourself, realizing that even if that person is projecting their feelings and emotions on you, an emotionally intelligent person can still stay structured, can still stay, let's say we're talking, if for the masculine energy specifically, can still stay on task. It can recognize that, okay, my woman has had a bad day. And, you know, right now, her and her coworker is having this battle, whatever. And I could tell my woman is emotional. So masculine energy and it's positive is able to not let, when she comes home, to have her emotions, even if she's over emotional. Like literally, I'm going to use the example. She is over emotional. Let's say this for an example. But even though she's over emotional, those emotions don't overcome a positive and a healthy masculine energy. That positive, healthy masculine energy can recognize his emotions and her emotions and can separate the two. Mm-hmm. It can realize that this doesn't have anything to do with me other than the fact that I'm going to be a supporting cast and a pillar for my woman in this moment to have, express, and share her emotions. Mm-hmm. Okay, how y'all feel about that? Anything, feedback, hit me with it. SoulMami, if you got anything on to add, or you want to add, if not, we move to the feminine.
No, I think you hit it. So I think just doing a recap, if you take a moment right now and see whether your masculine energy is on the healthy side or wounded, right? If it's on the healthy side, you're decisive, you're firm, you're not really aggressive, you don't really seek validation. You're just, you get up, you know what you got to do, you do it. You're open, you're receptive to feedback. There's the humility there, right? You know how to maintain the structure of your day. So if you're involved in routines, you work out, whatever your routines and rituals are for the day, and if you keep them, that's part of healthy masculine. And now if you are on the wounded side of the masculine, again, it's like Pernell said, you're overly aggressive, like you're very pushy towards you're mainly like very in your ego, you engage in a lot of negative self-talk, which leads to mindless behavior because you're unmotivated, you don't want to do shit, so you go escape to one of your escape tents, or you're insecure and you're dealing with fear, you're dealing with rejection, and the emotional intelligence that you said. So take a minute right now, maybe share in the chat, do you feel that right now your masculine energy is balanced? Do you feel that there's a bit of an imbalance, right? Let's do a little awareness check-in. Where do you feel on the scale of healthy, masculine, and wounded? Where do you feel that you are on the scale from 1 to 10? Let's do a scale from 1 to 10. 10 being like, wow, my masculine energy is pretty balanced and pretty healthy. 0 being, fuck, I need help. Where in that scale is your health with your masculine? Maybe share that with us in the chat just so that we can see. All right, we see any numbers coming in.
My bad, I was over here wildfiring the overview of the positive and the negative, if you will.
Yeah, and it's in the description, right? We're just giving it voice.
Yep.
So share with us where you are in the scale with your masculine. Do you feel pretty good with your relationship with your masculine? On a 1 to 10. All right. I see a 7. I see a 7. All right. This is good. This is great. 7 is definitely
Good.
You know,
Good.
and none of us are perfect. Like if you're a 10, like homie, let me sit down, learn from you.
No,
Like,
let me learn, because you know these fluctuate. You know what I'm saying? Like today you could be a 7, tomorrow you could be a 10, and the next day you could be a 1. And I think the beauty is when we can be okay with that, with observation, and just be able to observe what are the things that's fluctuating these numbers for me, and why is it fluctuating so frequent, or why, you know, or if it's not fluctuating at all, you know, we have an opportunity to be kind with ourselves. I'll say a 6. Okay, I see the honesty coming out. All right, I see you, Lily. Like, I'm not a follower. Here we go. Giving the masculine a little break for now. Bang. 7.
yeah, it's definitely a dance, right? So the key of the game is to constantly check in, like check in with yourself. You know, different seasons, different environmental seasons and astrological seasons bring in different things within you that you didn't know were there, and all of a sudden you go from being like in your confidence being like, what the fuck, you know? So checking in is key. Checking in is key.
I see. My man said earlier this morning I was at a 3. Sometimes it be like that. Sometimes the first half of the day, there are some days I wake up, you know, and I'm thinking the night before, all right, you know, 7 a.m., ready to hit it, yada, yada, yada. And then there's some days I wake up and I'm at a 2. And sometimes what I need most in those moments is to just take it slow and realize, Pernell, you're an entrepreneur, bro. You could just start at like 1 p.m. Like you could do that. Like you could do that. Like you could just accept that right now you didn't wake up on fire, you know? Yeah. Like, and I think what's nice about when we can observe our inner world is to recognize the difference. There's a difference, right? You could wake up and not be right in the best mood, but this is what we have our rituals for, because sometimes those rituals will be the thing that gets you to snap back. And then there's another side of that where it don't even matter. Rituals, back massage, and everything else, you out of the game. And to honor that, you know, honor that. Mm-hmm. Recognize that it's never we're not perfect. And that's why we're highlighting what are the good, what are the bad, so we can recognize. Awareness is really a superpower. So we can recognize, all right, I remember that chat on YouTube, I'm a little out of balance, or, oh, I'm firing, baby, on all cylinders.
And to add to that, it also depends on where you are in the dance, right? Because remember, if we start out perfect and divine and with both of our energies in sacred union, dancing, and all of a sudden the world and traumas and different things kind of bring our energies like this. And then life becomes like a game of rejoining these forces within us by being aware, checking in, eating right, doing all the things. But once we reach this point where we're back in sacred union, then it's totally normal for one day for the masculine to be leading and one day for the feminine to be leading. And life just becomes this playful dance between both of your energies, and both are in harmony. But before we get there, we're here. And so we have to do the work within ourselves, the soul work, to kind of come back to the dance floor with both of these energies and say, hey, what's up? You want to dance? Yeah, I want to dance. So, and get back to it.
I had 2 questions, and we're gonna move over. Thank you. I see 100% SoulMami. I had 2 questions, and then we're gonna move over to the divine feminine. Okay, we're gonna switch from the male. I saw one question about food. I gotta find it real quick.
Lily said a great point that she uses food to help you. She says to help you come into your feminine, for sure. Not only feminine, masculine. Foods have energy as well.
Absolutely.
Definitely with chakras, mainly with chakras. But that's a whole different live.
Yeah, Missy, I think Missy might be in this chat still. And if she is, Missy, we were talking about doing a chakra workshop, like an 8-day chakra workshop. So if anybody is interested in that, I'm gonna try to make a poll. If you guys are interested, you can vote right in here. If you would like for us to do chakras 1 through 7, then that's something that can happen. So I don't know if they're gonna let me do enough. Can I make more than 1 poll? I guess maybe they're only giving me 1. Hey, thank you guys. I see you got 12 votes out here on the poll. That's dope. So yeah, I don't think it's gonna let me make a second poll, but just give me a yes or no if that's the case. It did my live do something funky? Oh, I think I backtracked. That's why. Oops. These technologies sometimes they get me jacked up. So let's move Ellie into.
Yeah, let's move into the feminine now, right? So I'm going to read the 3 points under wounded feminine, and then you and I can kind of chit chat about it, and then we'll do a little check-in to see where everybody's at with their wounded feminine. So these are some signs of if your divine feminine is wounded or imbalanced. There's a neediness, like just a neediness, like too much ocean, you know. It's like just a neediness with no structure of that, and a desire to become more masculine, right? You gotta prove yourself. You gotta, this independent vibe. You see that a lot here, at least as Americans, right? You see that like, oh, I don't need nobody, like I'm good, I don't need no man. Right? Is this energy of like, no, what's up? That's not coming from a balanced place, you know. That's like the moon saying, I don't need the sun. Bitch, you wouldn't be the moon if the sun wasn't here. Like, what you mean you don't need the sun? Right. You know, right. It's that type of energy, right? Becoming more masculine from a place of neediness, and then getting it done yourself, to prove yourself in whatever area. Then there's if you are wounded in your feminine, there's also a tendency to be overly analytical, too objective, too mental, right? I know this is I'm a Virgo sun, right? Hello, Virgo and analytical. So for me, this is something growing up, this was super, super imbalanced in me. Like now I keep that on check, right? But growing up, when I didn't have the awareness of my astrology or my signs and all these things, and I was already in the masculine, I was too mental, too analytical, questioning too much, too left-minded, right? Instead of creating space for the unknown and creativity. So if you find yourself being too analytical, too mental, too objective, too in your head, that's definitely a sign of your feminine is imbalanced. And then the third one is rejecting the direction of divine masculine. Or you compete for ego power. So it kind of goes with this energy of the first one, where you're like, nah, again, this vibe, I don't need this, right? And there's a few more, right? Like when you don't trust your intuition, when you don't trust the unknown, when you're afraid to go at the unknown. These are all signs that your feminine is imbalanced, right? It's almost like you're afraid of chaos. You're afraid of messes. You're afraid of imperfections, like things that don't have structure, because you need to be in control all the time. You need to be ahead of the game, right? So these are ways that having a wounded feminine or having an imbalanced feminine manifests itself. Did you want to add anything to that from your experience?
I mean, hey, look, I did most of the talking on the masculine, and I think it's only right, like I said, you're the soul mommy, like you're coming in, you're bringing in that heat right now. So I'm fully on board.
Yeah. So that's mainly, it's pretty when we see that, I'm sure you can think of, if not yourself, you can think of people in your own lives that you can see are in this, right? Like I have friends that are where I was at growing up, right? They're afraid of being imperfect. They're afraid of even having messy hair. Like, look at this hair today, right? You think I care? I could do a live like this, and I'm like, whatever, I'm comfortable in my energy, right? There are women women and men that are afraid to be viewed as imperfect in any way, right? So they put on this perfection mask, and when there's a part of our insides are saying, hey, like, be a little messy today, like, hey, chill, fall back. So these are some signs, like overriding, pretty much is living from your mind a lot and not your heart.
Oh, can you repeat that?
Overriding, like when you live too much off your mind and not your heart, your feelings, your intuition, you don't trust, you need to have a plan all the time, you need to be in control, like you're like the shadow side of Virgo embodied. Coming from me, that is a sign that your feminine is imbalanced or there's a wound there. For men, I've seen when they have a deep mommy wound and they're feminine, they have a deep feminine wound, I see that manifesting in relationships where, I mean, wow, I was just in relation with someone who had a deep feminine wound. And at first I didn't pick that up because this person like had a nice facade and was very masculine and seemed like he was very balanced in his masculine and feminine energy. But 3 months in, the masks came out and I saw a very, very ugly manifestation of a feminine wound, right? If you are a man and you have a feminine wound, manifest in different ways, right? Maybe you go from lover to lover, just being chaotic, being from lover and lover, emotionally chaotic. You be sleeping with one girl, then be sleeping with another girl. You're just you're kind of messy. You're just like, I'm gonna just spread myself everywhere, right?
Thin.
Yeah, it's
so thin.
Right. And it's very you live almost in this secrecy. You live in the darkness because remember that feminine is the moon, is the dark, is the womb for where we come from, right? All life, everything comes from the feminine, from the darkness.
Oh.
So when you are living in a wounded feminine, whether you're a man or a woman, but especially men, there's a secrecy component to you. It's like, yeah, you're in the dark, but you're in the dark of the dark. You're not in the light of the dark, right? You're upkeeping these secrets, almost like the shadow side of Scorpio energy, right? It's just very like, let's be in the mud here. Like nobody needs to know my life, my things. And you're kind of just spreading venom or spreading yourself everywhere. So that's on the intensity side, right? That's a deep, deep wound. But again, in the day-to-day, in imbalanced feminine, again, looks like not, resting too much.
Right.
Like how many Netflix and chills do you need to have for yourself? Like at some point you need to get up and do some work, go do some laundry. Like like there's other things to do. So when you're like resting too much, and you're not taking action, that that's also a sign of like imbalance. You're too in the yin. You're not moving your body, you're not exercising, you're eating too much, right? You're just eating chips, you're eating all the things. It's just like stagnant, heavy energy. That's an imbalance. And again, we all go through that, right? Depending on the moon, the cycles, all that. But the important thing is to recognize it. Does that make sense? Let me know in the chat, like.
Absolutamente. Ya veo a Lily en Colombia. Actualmente, SoulMami es en Colombia en qué?
Oh, Lily's in Colombia. Lily, I'm about to fly to Colombia on Tuesday, so message me. Let's connect. Que voy a estar en Bogotá.
Qué rico. Soy paisano.
Yes. So that's the feminine. We're gonna take we're gonna check in with ourselves first, but first I want to go over what does it look like to be in healthy relationship with your feminine. When you are in healthy relationship with your feminine, you have a connection with your spirit. You embrace your intuition, right? You're nurturing, right? You know how to nurture. It's like when your puppy comes up to you, like you're like, oh, you talk to your plants. Oh, hi, baby. It's like that nurturing, almost motherly energy. And again, doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman, men are super nurturing. I love to see a man like in a positive relationship, in a balanced feminine. It's like it turns the shit out of me. Like, oh, look at him being nurturing. Come give me a hug, right? That energy is so contagious, is magnetic, right? It's because it's the mother. Like we all carry that. It's motherly energy. As I'm going to nurture, I'm going to care. I'm connected to spirit. I'm going to feed you. It's this intuition, right? So that's a balanced, positive one. You're also turned inward. You're turned inward. You notice yourself. You're not just taken by the chaos out in the world. You know how to check in with yourself. You know how to say, wow, what do I need today?
Right.
What do I want today?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm needing more rest. Let me give that to myself. Yeah. I'm needing more movement. I'm needing a friend to talk to, right? So you know how to check in. You know how to look into your own darkness and say, this is what I need, right? So that's super important, being in connection with your inner world. And then the last thing is you don't you don't reject structure, right? You don't reject the direction of the masculine. You could, because you're so comfortable in who you are as the water, that if a cup comes by and says, ooh, like I want to scoop a piece of your water, you'd be like, woo, all right. let me lay in your cup, boy. Let me get in your cup, honey.
I felt that.
You ain't bothered, honey, because if you and your feminine, you know that water takes the form of whatever it holds, right? Whatever is holding it, water is going to take that form. So when you're in your positive feminine, you don't, fine, I could be in a cup 1 minute and I can be back on the ocean flowing freely, right? So like, let's do this. So those are some signs of your feminine, right? So of your balanced, healthy feminine: trusting your intuition, checking in with your insides, flowing and being led by the masculine, taking care of yourself, nurturing and giving that energy.
And there's a couple comments that I kind of wanted to address. One, Lily, not about Colombia itself, but the culture. And Ellie, you're gonna see this because you're gonna be in Colombia in like 2 weeks. And she said, look, I'm Colombian, and in my culture, there's this idea about women being and looking perfect. And I've seen that. I've seen that there when I was there. I've seen that. I was in Medellin, and it's like, that's like the capital of like perfect. And she said it was a struggle for me to really let go of actually trying to be perfect. What do you have for her around that? Or just any women that feel that way? Because obviously we're still here in America, and it's like this image of, I don't even know these people anymore, Kylie Jenner and whatever these people are that are being emulated, these women that are, or girls that are being emulated. How do we address that?
Yeah, Lily, I just saw that, and that you're in Miami. I'm actually going to be in Miami Saturday, and I fly on Tuesday to Colombia. Miami's also the same vibe, right? Miami also has that, like, everyone has a operated body. And is this perfection? Like, listen, I'm a retired perfectionist. Like, this was the mask I wore. Like, I can speak about this all day, every day. But again, when you start to become aware that the culture that you were raised in, the country that you live in, the environment that you live in is almost expecting you and preaching you to be perfect, if you truly want to live in loyalty to your soul, and you want to live authentically, and you want to live truthfully, that's where your journey of unlearning starts, right? You have to start learning to be comfortable with people talking shit about you because you decided to wear your hair messy one day. Do you know how many times, because I'm Dominican, you know how many times, and so I'm Dominican, and in my culture, right, a lot of women straighten their hair. Right. Because straight hair is a Colombia European standard of beauty. Too. Who the fuck said, like, who the fuck made you, right? Like,
I like curly hair. I like curly hair. I'm curly hair. I'm team curly.
So listen to this. When I was unlearning perfectionism and I was still trying to be like the good girl, the perfect everything, I was always rocking my hair straight. And when my journey, when I took off the perfectionist mask and I started my self-love journey, this was 9 years ago, exactly 9 years ago, I had to learn to be messy. I had to learn to be imperfect. I had to learn that making mistakes is okay. I had to learn to own my voice, to own my decisions, including how I wanted to dress. And if nobody liked how I looked, oh, well, I feel comfortable in sneakers. I don't want to wear heels. I had to learn those things. So this is where, for you, Lily, for example, or anybody else in this place, this is where you have to make a decision of saying, like, I want to be the wildest expression of my soul.
Hell yeah.
I want to be authentic. I want to be wild. I want other people to see me and say, wow, he is so free. She is so free. Like, there's a free part in me that's not out yet. Once you make that decision, there's no coming back from that. And you have to be okay with people not understanding your journey. With people saying things like, I had aunts of mine saying, like, you didn't comb your hair today? When I would go to family functions with curly hair. And I'm like, I did comb it. Or like, why haven't you straightened it? Because I don't feel like straightening my hair, Tia. That's why. You have to. And at first it's fucking hard. It sucks. You're just like in this awkward like transitional phase, but it's like working out. And I know you can say this, Pernell, like once you do one rep, the second rep becomes easier, the third rep becomes easier. You're flexing the muscle.
Yeah.
It's the same when it comes to soul things, when it comes to spiritual things, when it comes to unlearning and relearning. So that's what I would say. It's listen, we're not meant to be perfect. In fact, I want to share a quick tip with all of you. If you are perfectionists and you are in the journey of unlearning perfectionism, I would purposely include imperfections in your life. And these imperfections are called wabi-sabis. Now, this is a whole different topic, and we can show my channel.
You got to put me on game on that one. I'm like, wabi-sabi.
We're going to talk about this another time, but pretty much in Japanese culture, they have an aesthetics principle called wabi-sabi. And many of you have probably seen this in movies or have seen this places. It's like broken pottery. It's like pottery that's been broken, that's been put back together. That's like a wabi-sabi aesthetic, which pretty much says there's beauty in the broken, there's beauty in the imperfections, there's beauty in the aging, right? They value the old people, the aging people. They value them. They see that as beauty. So when I learned about that, you know what I started to do as almost like this was probably like my Aries energy. I was like, I'm gonna challenge myself. Like I'm gonna be ahead of this like unlearning game of perfectionism. I started to purposely include wabi-sabis in my life. So when I started my business and I would put something out and I saw that I had typos, the Virgo in me is like, correct it, fix it, right? Like change it, make it perfect. But then I would be like, nah, I'm gonna leave that as my wabi-sabi, because you know what? Regardless of that typo, someone's still gonna be impacted. Someone's still gonna be influenced. I'm still gonna make a connection. That has nothing to do with the typo. It's the energy that I'm putting out. So that's a quick tip. Like, you know, you have to be committed to your own unlearning journey, and we all have a lot to unlearn. And if you're unlearning perfectionism, purposely include some wabi-sabis in your day, in your life, and that's just a permission slip for imperfections.
Wow, you said you dropped hella gems. Can we give the SoulMami a clap this time? Can we direct this one inwards, like, because I know everybody was just feeling that. I'm feeling it. I'm over here. The woo! She got me wanting to shake a tail feather or something. I want to start hugging some women. Like, give me a hug, girl. You know, you said two things, and I also want to address Blue Flame. One, with the wabi-sabis, then they oftentimes put the pottery that broke back together with gold, and it would be prettier the second time around and more stable, more sturdy. After it will break when they put it together with gold. So when you said that, I was like, I do know about this culture, which was dope. And second, from a male perspective, what I would like to express, because I've seen Blue Flame put it out there about protection and vulnerability and how it's extremely sexy, not clingy, not insecure. I really appreciate a comment like that. I say that because for two reasons. One, and I will say this, one of the things that I find males consider really sexy is when if a woman is insecure in some curves and some corners, got it. But when it becomes a daily nagging expression of insecurity, it's not sexy for men. I don't know if maybe some men like that or not, but I don't find that sexy when it's like every day, at every corner, insecurities need to be addressed. Like, where it's like, to be able to see them, to honor them by making space for them, but just allowing them to be there. Like, there are moments where like I can see them, but I don't think each and every one of them need to be validated. I don't know what man really enjoys having to validate every single insecurity. Now, on the opposite side, I think that sometimes males go too far on that, where they almost intentionally don't, just to I don't know why they would do that exactly, if I'm being honest. Maybe you do, as for some SoulMami perspective, but I think that we shouldn't get too far from complimenting our woman or picking them up. Because I had one of my mans the other day say some shit like he enjoyed something from his woman, but he was like, you know, and I thought blah blah blah, but I couldn't tell her too much because I didn't want to blow her head up. And I was kind of conflicted, and I was at a half, where it's like, if it's coming from a place where, again, it's constant nagging of I need this validation versus I'm gonna I was like, you know, I want to be able to blow my woman's head up, if I'm being honest. I don't find nothing wrong with that. Like, I want to blow my woman up. I want to put her on a pedestal, and I want everybody to know it. And I want her, and I don't want to be afraid to pretend that I think anything different than what I just said. But I've also found that on the opposite end, where I had to learn lessons to not treat princesses like queens, which I think is very different.
That's
because,
a topic.
You feel me? That's a whole nother topic where that was me enabling bad habits, bad behaviors that I didn't even actually want to deal with. So that's where I had to learn to take my personal mask off as well. Because like, I don't even want to deal with that. I don't want to set that as a streak that now is becoming an expectation. And so I had to learn to, like, positive masculine energy. Part of that is understanding that, like, that has to be earned. Like, there has to be an extent where that's earned. I can't just give you the treatment of a queen, especially when you're showing behaviors of a princess. That's on me. And I had to, like, really own up on that and realize, oh shit, Pete, that's your fault. You can't complain about this. You can't, nothing. This is your fault. Like, I was enabling certain behaviors. But what I will say is, it is definitely sexy when it's like, look, you can have a little insecurity, like, hey, it's cool. Just don't make it a nagging thing. Like, where it becomes, if I don't give validation on every single one, yada yada, that it's, you know, don't let it become an expectation. At least to stay in the sexy graces. You know what I'm saying? So I said my part.
Yeah, and to expect validation from our friends, our family, our lovers all the time is irresponsible, because nobody's meant to give us our happiness. Nobody owes us shit. Like, we are here committed to our soul journey, and at the end of the day, we need to learn how to love ourselves, hold ourselves, parent ourselves, and be in a beautiful, loving, exciting, respectful relationship with ourselves, because that relationship is going to influence every other single relationship that we have. And so again, it goes back to balance. If you're imbalanced, it's going to show up in your interpersonal relationships, and you just have to be aware of where you're at in the game. You know, so that's what I'll say with that. I want to do a quick little check-in in the chat, because we did it for the masculine. Yep. Based on what we discussed regarding balanced feminine and unbalanced, on a scale of 1 to 10, where do you feel you are in your balance? 10 being like, my feminine is healthy, we're good, we're balanced, I make time for rest, for play, for creativity, I trust in the unknown, like A1. Me and spirit are A1, and 0 being like, nah, like I can't rest, you know, or I rest too much. You know, where are you on a scale of 1 to 10 with your own feminine energy? Do you like your feminine energy? Like, do you love or like the parts of you that are imperfect, creative, intuitive, or are you afraid of those parts, right? That's a whole different question, but just kind of doing a little check-in. Where's everybody at with their energy?
And I will let you know, Ellie, so that they can do their 1 to 10 on this check-in, that there's a mini delay on the YouTube side from when they hear that check-in piece. So they're gonna say what they're gonna say, but so 1 to 10, if you guys can vote off the SoulMami's request. Mind you, check her channel as well. I'm going to drop a link to do that, because she's coming out. She's going to start roaring on her YouTube channel.
I'm coming out.
So 1 to 10, Ellie, just so they on the catch up, what 1 to 10, where 0 being and 10 being what?
Yeah, so where are you in your relationship with your feminine energy? one being terrible. I hate being creative. I hate resting. I hate being intuitive. I'm constantly working, or I'm too lazy. I rest too much, 10 being I'm good. I make space for rest. I make space for playtime. I honor my creativity. I trust spirit, divine forces. I look at the signs. Where are you in your relationship with your own feminine energy?
For myself, I'm gonna give. There's a reason I took these 2 points off. I came back like feminine was mastered in my past life, and so it's like I had to learn more on the masculine side. So I voted on this for the feminine, and to even explain like where this number comes from for me, the other day somebody had said something, and it was like, recovery doesn't need judgment when it's given, or something like that. I forget it. I forget the quote. Like, we don't need to judge ourselves about taking recovery time or rest time. And it stops. The criticism, the inner critic stops as soon as we listen. Okay, that's what it was. The judgment of recovery stops when we listen. So it's like when I stop judging myself, because think about it, it's tiring. It's very tiring when you already need rest. You already need to just lay down and chill, and your intuition is telling you that. But then I'm over here like, nah, but I just want to do this next push. And then the next push becomes, okay, just one more push. After that, one more push. And then it's like, that's never ending. So I just want to kind of share that from my own side, because when I heard that, it really was Sunday, I crashed. I was on such a high. I didn't want my roller coaster to come down at all. If I'm being honest, I was like, yo, I'm on a high. Business is booming. These lives are percolating. It's like so many things are happening behind the scenes. I'm like, I just want to ride this high. I want to ride the momentum. But I rested. And the more important part was I didn't keep judging myself while resting for taking the rest all day long. For the legit, like 24 hours, I didn't leave my bed, to the point where your back starts to hurt because you ain't moving enough. Couldn't even move. Just like, nope, I'm just here. I'm in the dark. I put the blinds down, and that's what I needed the most. And thankfully, when I did that, the next day, the amount of bookings that my calendar had, and even other gains, let's just say, that came in, I needed that energy from that rest day all the way down to manage that next load. And if I didn't take that rest that Sunday, I would have been overwhelmed when it was supposed to be a celebration. Like, it was the stuff that was happening that following day was like celebratory stuff. I'm like, yes, these are dreams coming true, real life. But I wouldn't have been able to enjoy it without that rest day prior at all.
Super important. Super important. So both work in harmony, right? The sun works with the moon. Black works with white, right? Rest works with action. This is what we're getting at here. It's the duality and polarity of both energies that we both carry. They work in harmony. We can't even begin to talk about the topic of twin flame. I know a lot of us are so obsessed or excited to find these twin flames, but the truth is, you are your own twin flame,
right?
First and foremost. And if you are not in sacred harmony with your masculine and feminine energy, you will not attract a twin flame, connection. And I mean it metaphorically. I mean, yeah, you can meet your twin flame. That I'm saying, it's important for you to cultivate that connection with yourself first, right? If you know that there's a wound in your masculine or feminine, then the key is to heal your masculine energy or to heal your feminine energy, because then once those parts of you are healed, then the dance begins.
Right.
And the dance is just a beautiful, for example, I just spent the last year being completely off from the world. Spirit said, you need to sit down and rest. I had to sit, I had to rest, I had to integrate. I wasn't coaching clients. I wasn't, creating for the public. I was in the womb, in the darkness with the feminine. And now I'm already in sacred union with myself, right? but now is my masculine time, right? Now I'm feeling my masculine energy. I'm like, yeah, like, all right, we got it. Like, I got to do stuff now. I got to add some structure because my feminine wants to express herself in certain ways. So my masculine needs to create certain structures, needs to get some actions done so that I can be freely. So that's a whole different ball game when you are in sacred union with both of your energies and you're able to go through life changing roles, changing energy according to the things that call your soul. But step number one is awareness and seeing, where am I? Like, I need these two parts of me to come together. Are any of them holding a wound so that I can address it? And then once you address it, the balance starts. The balance every day, catering to both. You see, the balance then starts bringing them together until you get a point where you've lived in so balanced and you've nurtured both sides that you reach sacred union. And that's where the playing begins, right? You play with yourself, you play with others, you can show up in relationships. And if someone's being overly masculine, because you're so comfortable in your feminine, you know how to fall back and play and receive. And if they're being overly feminine, you know how to, step up and be the masculine. So, we can't even begin to talk about playing because honestly, it starts at a very root, fundamental level. And if you get anything from today's talk, is that the work starts within you, and that your feminine is beautiful and wants to play and be seen and express that energy and be creative. And your masculine is beautiful and wants to add structure and wants to be responsible and wants to take, find where you are. Find where you are in all of this. And then commit to catering to both of those energies so that you can live in a state of harmony with your soul, and so that you can play and experience the joy of playing and the freedom that comes from, again, being able to mutate, right? This is beyond gender. I'm a female, I'm a woman, like I'm feminine, I'm masculine, like I am all and I am nothing at the same time, know? So that's what I feel in my heart to share with all of you. Check in where you're at.
Right. Yeah. And she had mentioned the brief thing on Twin Flame, and it's just like, just remember that, the wounds, the triggers, that's the map to healing, and this is where this is one of the important elements, if you will, about loving yourself, which is the reason that people search for twin flames in general. It's like you're unconsciously or subconsciously, wouldn't matter which, trying to accept yourself at a deeper level, at a cosmic level. You feel me? Where you're so in tune with all the ugly parts of you and all the beautiful parts of you and all the in-betweens, that now you begin to explore what it means to play, which is individual for you. So, this whole topic was like how women play. And it's like, it's only your description. It's only your tale to tell. And no one else will be able to take away how you feel play can, should, will, and does look like in your romantic life, in your work and career, at any corner. So understand that, when these twin flames are attracting and soulmates and karmic relationships are revealing certain pains, it's just for us to address it so that we can come back to self. And I think that's what's always so important on everybody's personal path. It's like to not forget and also forgive yourself. This is so critical. Truly. And this is what I be saying too. It's like I had to realize as well. Like I was on the twin flame chase at a point. It's like I don't even know. At some point, it really died for me. If I'm being real honest, it really died for me. And because I recognize, like, I don't want a twin flame to love for all my days. Because that never was the purpose, anyways. Like Those are purpose driven. Key thing is to recognize what is the mission. You know, because when I think about my love life, like I want a loving love life. I don't want a tumultuous and emotionally chaotic love life. Fuck no. I don't want any of that. I don't want that drama. I don't want that heat. I don't want that smoke. And I'm saying that as an Aries where I love that smoke. I don't want all that smoke normally, but that's not the smoke that I want. Like my Taurus in the 7th house of relationships is like, I want harmony. I need enjoyment in the simple things. I need balance. I need somebody sensitive and intuitive. You feel me? It's like, I need all that nurturing. I don't need, you can keep the chaos. And I had to really like come to terms with that, especially as a Scorpio rising, where it's like, you know, we don't naturally believe that, even if we won't say it out loud, that we can have harmony, that we can enjoy love, and not have to always be on guard or worried about betrayal, especially self-betrayal. Like we don't really want to worry about these things. It's like ultimately we crave deep, profound intimacy more than anything else. And I think everybody can agree with that, even if they refuse to say it out loud. It's like, I don't know anybody that doesn't want to be touched as if they were loved.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I want to be touched. I want to be played with as if I'm loved.
Yeah.
You know, you feel me? And it's like, the world is changing. So as a part of that, what we also need to do is change with it. And what that looks like to me in this particular instance is to show you through transparency, through emotional vulnerability, like I am a Black African-American male. And I'm on this other side today talking about divine feminine energy and how it plays with divine masculine energy. And so I say this to say, be very mindful and diligent on how quickly we curse another. You know, of how we ask for one thing and then when it shows in our face, okay, we ask for men who can be driven and structured and action focused and yada yada yada, goal orientated, but also can be loving and nurturing. Be mindful that when you ask for it and that comes on your front door, do you turn it away? And then why, if so?
Mm-hmm.
And so I say this, boldly claiming in this moment, like that this is who I am. Like this is legitimately who I am. It's who I've always been. And I've had plenty of stages where I rejected that truth. I neglected the desires of everything I just said. However, in this moment, through all of the growth, the healing, the turns, which I'm going to continue to take, I'm telling you that we exist. I'm saying this from the male perspective specifically. I've met plenty of them. And yes, you know what? There are wounds that plenty of males need to address. There are elements of us males asking for certain things in women that we're not prepared for. Like I said in the beginning of this call, you know, when I first met Ellie, this is the reality. It's like, I was like, nope, I'm not even going to try her. And part of the strength behind that was recognizing that I was not prepared to address or relate, especially on a romantic level, with a queen. And so that pause, that consciousness allowed what? Us to give you impact, value, and truth today on a live call by setting and maintaining boundaries, by not looking at everybody as a piece of meat,
mm-hmm.
and realizing that we're all humans.
Mm-hmm.
We all got our shit. We all want to be loved. We don't always make the right choice. We absolutely make mistakes,
Mm-hmm.
but it doesn't make us bad people.
Mm-hmm.
And there's always room for growth.
Always. Always.
Let's check in with the chat.
You know, Ram Dass, in the words of Ram Dass, he was a spiritual teacher. He said, we're all just walking each other home.
Nice.
You know, what is home? Home's back to yourself, to your truth. So it goes back to self-knowledge. Are you knowing yourself, right? There's so many ways to knowing yourself. Learning who you are via astrology and different systems, that's one way. right? And that's why you're in this channel and you're following Pernell and you know, listening to his wisdom on this topic. That's one way, you know, cultivating self intimacy within yourself, learning to connect with your soul outside of the systems. That's another way, right? That's something that we can talk about and hang out. If you go to my channel, we'll be talking and exploring more of these topics of self intimacy, but both lead to the same path, which is self knowledge, self understanding, self love, right? Being in this soulmate relationship with yourself, being in this twin flame relationship with yourself, right? If you were to be, if the photocopy of you were to come to you and ask you out right now, would you say yes?
It's a good question.
You know, just, you don't have to answer right now. Just kind of marinate on that. Like, are you ready? Like, are you ready? Right? Is your energy balanced that if somebody were to come, somebody exactly like you from the inside, right? If they were to come and ask you out, would you say yes to that relationship? And if the answer is no, then that's an indication that there's some parts of you that you still, you know, want to balance, or maybe there's some parts of you that you don't really are not connected to yet, and you have to get to know those parts yet, you know, still. So that's something to play with as we bring all this to back to the center and to the purpose of this call. Yeah, and I think it was Samir up in the beginning. Samir was ahead of the game. He was asking all the questions before we talked. Kudos to you, Samir. You're on it. I think one of the things you asked was, how do you play? How do you play in your divine masculine and feminine? And I think it's just, I don't know what you want to say about this, Pernell. From my perspective, is doing it again, doing daily things to cater to both, right? If you want some homework after we finish this conversation, what's one adult thing you can do this week, right? Like, what's one masculine, responsible, what's one thing you can take action in and feel good? Something that's
Everybody type that in the chat. I want you to type
right.
one thing, one masculine objective
Yeah,
that you're going to complete for this week. Okay.
Like, what's an action? What's something that's been pending, right? You have to call your car insurance. You have to settle something, right? What's one action that you know you've been needing to take in terms of keeping the structure in your life, being responsible? What's one action that you need to take, right? Something that's just been pending. Write that down, because that's, again, one way to honor your own masculine energy. Being productive in something, getting something done. So feel free to write that down in the chat.
Just their
make
mind.
a note of it in the live. And then what's one way that you can play this week? Right? What's one way that you can rest, that you can chill? Take yourself on a date, or what's one thing that you can create this week? Maybe you're into painting and you haven't done it in a while. Maybe you're into music and you haven't picked up your instrument in a while. These are ways of connecting with the feminine. So what's one thing that you're going to take care of this week in terms of actions that you've been needing to do? Be responsible, because it's going to help the structures and the rituals of your life. And what's one way that you can play, create, rest, chill? Share that with us.
Dang. I share my one masculine, my one feminine. I thought of that the other day. I used to be very naive and sweet person. Then when I started seeing how abusive I was, or it was, I left, ended up blocking out almost everyone. I'll be making jewelry. That's one of the plays. That sounds fun. While we're in the process of healing, we tend to attract wounded people. So we have that mirror to show us what we need to work on. I absolutely agree. So yeah, you know, write down in the chat one masculine adult task. I like how she put it, adult task that you have for the week. For me, it's like, I already typed it in the chat. For me, that one adult task is to send my first email out. Like, I created an email list just last week. It just finished up, and I never sent the first email out. I was just like, I don't know, procrastinating. I don't know. It was written down somewhere on my list. I think somewhere that's when the passion kind of gets away from me, because sometimes these lives I'm like, yeah, let's keep going, do it. And I'm like, so that's gonna be my one adult task. And for the feminine, I'm learning how to read tarot cards this weekend on Friday, which is exciting.
Nice.
And that's really fun for me. For me, that's play. Ironically, I might end up reading tarot on YouTube as well, which might turn into a little bit of work, but it's play for me more than anything. What's that about?
This is from my ancestors deck, which is my favorite deck. This is the card I pulled yesterday for myself as I was asking for guidance for the month of December. And it's the Shapeshifter card, which pretty much says transform and unveil your gifts. So this is my vibe and focus for December. But I kind of love the word shapeshifter, right? Because it kind of goes with the topic we're talking about, divine masculine and feminine, and being able to shapeshift into both of those energies harmoniously and embrace the gifts, right? Because that's a whole different topic. We all have masculine gifts and feminine gifts. And when we start tuning into those gifts and expressing, that's another way of being in sacred union. So we have to become shapeshifters.
That's beautiful. That resonates. And plus, I'm actually have a wolf. My computer is on top of a wolf right now. Like, yeah, literally.
That's my spirit animal.
That's my spirit animal.
I'm here reading what people said. Lily, you need to update my resume. I know that's a daunting task, but if you can reframe it and say, wow, I get to update, I get to storytell.
I get to storytell my new life, my evolved life.
By doing this resume, it's a story of me, right? It's just a structure. That's definitely something to do. Paint my ceiling in my bedroom. Cool. Blue flame integration. Also loves reading cards. Yeah. So you're all on it.
Your artificial records. Yeah. So there's a power when you write these things down, even in a community where it's almost like, look, at the end of the day, we're not going to necessarily see if you did it or not. Right. But there's a certain strength within community where it's like we witnessed that somebody needs to do a resume. We witnessed that candle making is a part of play for some people here. Ellie doing her financial logistics before she travels to Colombia. And I hope that Lily and the SoulMami, I hope y'all get to connect and meet down in Miami while she's there for those couple of days. That will make my heart so joyful.
Yeah, message me, Lily. Send me a message on my channel. We can coordinate it.
Yeah, that could be tough with you too. You should drop an email or something, Ellie. You should drop an email, and then, because otherwise that could be tough if it's not set up already. So this is a good time to ask any questions before we close this out. And Samir, I think I just saw one question from you, which is pretty dope. I love that. Shifting our mindset. Absolutely. I also wanted to share this one more time. This is the next event coming up. A lot of what we're doing now, but then what's nice about this mastermind, this blueprint that we're going to do, is shaping our ideas. And everything we just went through with this Scorpio solar eclipse was like changing our beliefs. Okay. Mutable sign, not Scorpio, mutable sign Sagittarius, the solar moon, changing and shifting. Look, oh wow, the SoulMami said shapeshifter, shifting our beliefs. And that's what this workshop is about. It's donation based. Okay. What's nice is we're going to be putting you in different breakout groups. So you're going to be able to actually talk to us. I'm going to be able to hear your voice, see you live, switch in and out. And then now maybe you're in a group with 3 other people, Ellie and the art records and Blue Flame. And this would be really incredible. And you got Samir with this group, and then we're going to switch you guys in and out. And I'm looking at this as a brainstorm, because this full moon in Gemini's ideas is communication. And wind signs, they understand themselves and their ideas better when they communicate it and flow with others. And that's why I look at this as brainstorming. So like, this is going to be a lot like Gemini, adaptable. The topic of discussion isn't going to be so set. And so much that it was even tough to make the event, because I was like, how do I do something so open, right? And I was like, I'm just going to call it a brainstorm. So I'm going to drop that link straight in the chat. One person has signed up already. I don't know. I don't think I've seen them on his live yet. I seen one person signed up minutes after I put it up. I'm like, I don't even know how he knew it was there, because I didn't mention anything about it yet. But I look at this as kind of like a spiritual mastermind, if you will, because all of us, in my personal opinion, we need community. It's just critical, especially off-platform community. So that's happening. I'm gonna check the chats. Samir, I'm gonna get back to your comment now, see what you said. And how to attune on the gifts of feminine and masculine energy. I think we covered a lot of that today.
Yeah, it starts with you spending time with yourself to know what are your individual gifts in your masculine and feminine. For example, I don't have all the feminine gifts. I can be in my feminine energy, but my feminine likes to express herself in certain ways, right? Making videos, creating. I'm very creative. I love singing and writing music. I'm a songwriter, right? These are the ways that my feminine, my soul loves to play. My masculine gifts are definitely organization. All right. I will organize your life. I will organize your environment, structure, getting shit done, making sure everybody's on the same page about things. So again, it comes back, Samir, to, are you taking enough time to get to know yourself, spending time with yourself so that you can learn yourself and naturally see what are your specific masculine and feminine gifts? Because we are all one of one. There is nobody like you, Samir. There is nobody like me. There's nobody like Pernell. There's nobody like Lily. Like, we are all a beautiful, unique soul expression. And we need to spend time with that expression to know how then we can tune in to that expression. Does that make sense?
I'm the guy that likes, I see in the one of the feminine gifts, cleaning. I am that guy. When I tell you I love a clean home, I need it. I'm almost like anal about it. Yes. So that's a yes. That's a hell yes for me. One of my feminine things I like to do as well is actually take care of my plants. Like, literally, like, I have a little spray bottle, like a tiny one, and I individually spray the leaves and I just massage them. And to be honest, it brings me so much peace. It also makes me feel really grounded as well.
Massaging your plants?
Yeah, literally, like one by one, I take each leaf, I spray a little bit, and I kind of massage them. And I just.
I'm a plant.
You know
I'm a plant, right?
You want a massage?
I'm about to take a flight over there. Like, can you massage?
You trying to catch these hands? You trying to catch these Cancer and Mars hands? These Cancer Mars hands? These nurturing palms?
Oh, that's the best, to get like head massages. Oh, the best.
I totally agree.
The best.
No, really, like. So let's do that real quick before we get up out of here. I want to have you guys take a handful of your hair, okay? Just dig in nice and deep. Don't be afraid. And then I want you to just pull your scalp up, and I want you to just breathe at the same time. And just move around, grab a new patch of hair, and just pull up and start to feel that energetic release coming out of your crown. This is your crown chakra, right? This is where the understanding comes to completion. So it's like all the ideas that we wrapped around today, our mind, our energy, our attention, just go ahead and release some of that, some of those thoughts. We don't want those things to pile up in there. We want to get them out. We want to combine the masculine energy and put them into action. So just take this moment, just kind of pull up on your hair. And I want to have you just rub your hands together, make a little heat, make a little fire. And if you feel comfortable, I want you to just cover your face. And just welcome yourself with presence. Relax your shoulders, just let your jaw release tension. Allow your tongue and your eyes to just melt. And notice the subtle shifts in your body. If you feel comfortable, keep your eyes closed. I just want you to double lap your hands on top of your heart. And just take a moment to feel. How do you feel with how today has gone so far? How do you feel about this discussion? about maybe what you've picked up, whether it's in the chats and the people that you don't know. How close did you feel? How connected did you feel? How connected do you feel with yourself? What might you take away from today, from this moment, and just share with the next person that you walk across in the store? The stranger that may need a little bit of your light. And while your hands are here in your heart, I want you to yourself, I want you to make a promise. And this promise, I can't tell you what to do, but I want you to make a promise, a single promise to yourself. One thing that helps you show up a little bit more authentically. What is that one thing, that one promise you can make to show up a little bit more authentically? Notice the beat. As you take a soft inhale, bring that air up into your heart. Let it circulate. Get out of the mind and allow yourself to feel. When you're ready to come back to the room, start to wiggle your toes. And notice the subtle changes. Notice the shifts in your body, in your thoughts, in your energy. Wow, this is beautiful. I thank you all for joining me today as this comes to conclusion. That said, everything we just did, there is a retreat in the background that is forming. I've been talking with people, connecting with our heart space, getting back into our body is one of the specialty of minds that when I asked, the promise for myself to show up a little bit more authentically, it was the reminder to do a little bit more of what I just did. A little bit more of the breathing technique from the different countries that I've learned that we did in the beginning of the call. A little bit more of the off-camera stuff that I do that I don't necessarily show up on lives to do at every second, whether it's pulling our hair and getting that energetic release. Like, these are the things that I want to teach people and give out, because it's important. It's how I stay on top of my personal game, because without that, I would get engulfed by all of the attention, by all of the challenges that each of us are going to face on this journey. I feel it too. Yes, I do, Blue Flame. I feel it too. So that was beautiful. Anybody ever interested in working with me one-on-one, even want to know what that looks like, ask your boy. Anybody looking for an astrology reading, ask your boy. If you're looking to potentially make some money by selling these readings for me, like, hey, look, you got a reading with me, this guy, that is a possibility. Right now, I have 2 personal affiliates out there. And again, they're now collecting the chicken. Like, they're collecting chicken just because they had their readings, and now they're going ahead and they're selling them, and they're coming to me. And so that is something that if you're interested in, definitely would love to say, what's up? Just hit me with a message. There's plenty of ways to do that. And this was a joy. I want to see you guys at this workshop coming up soon. It's going to be a blessing. Like I said, the mastermind, December 18th. We're going to join in, community, do our thing. Now's a great time to ask any last second question. And Ellie and I are getting ready for SoulMami, which you guys should obviously go follow, because you just
yes, go join me in my channel so that we can talk.
And I'm dropping her link right now. Here's her link right here in the chat. You obviously need to follow her because she's going through a revamp right now, her YouTube. I'm going to be helping her out with that. I'm like, look, Ellie, you and I, we're going to have some talks, girl. We're going to do this because she obviously knows what she knows, and you just witnessed that today. So never judge anything by the cover. We know that already. So let's live by that. That's her link there. Give her a follow. I would appreciate it personally. And last, that's for you there. just donation based. And I'll see you all soon. This was everything. I love you. I love you. I love you.
I love you. I love you. I love you. You are loved. You are held. You are worth it. Have an amazing day.
Boom. Ellie, give them one thing. What's one thing personal to you that you would like to leave them off on a high with?
Honestly, the first thing that came to my mind is a mantra that I tell myself and I want to share with you. And it's so simple. I am it.
I am it.
I am it. I am it.
It.
I am it.
It. Yeah, sometimes you need a little bit of that to mean it. Like
I am it. I am the love of my life. I am the thing I'm looking for. I am peace. I am love. I am it. I am it.
I love that one that you said. I am the one that I'm looking for. Ooh, it's almost like search for what's searching for you.
Mm-hmm. I am it.
Yeah.
Just say that to yourself over and over.
I am it.
I am it.
I am it. I am it. Hell yeah. Thank you guys for those thumbs up. You're tremendous. I really rock with y'all. Any topics you want to hear, drop them in the chats, drop them in the comments. Moving forward, I want to keep relevant information that people are actually dealing with. I want to bring this Libra 12th house of mine out of the shadows, because I know like I be up in them shadows. Like I don't even like to always talk to people, but I'm doing better. So anything you want to hear, drop the feedback in the comments.